Safe travels.
Thank you.
Thank you, Val. I'm going to give you an update tonight about the work that's occurred since we last had an update, and then give you a picture of what's coming up next. And we've got a little bit of work to do tonight. I need to pick your brains on some points here as we get through this presentation. First of all, I want to just update you. You've seen this slide before. A little bit of change here. In the first time I showed this slide, this box was the only one that was grayed out. We talked about moving into our Plan B and identifying some potential partners. And then we've gone into this stage here, identifying goals and compatible organizations. And last time we talked about which organizations looked like they matched up well with our criteria. And we reviewed those goals, and that's on a subsequent slide, where we identified some organizations that we thought would be a good fit for us. We established some criteria. Brand was really at the top of the list. And I want to pause here on brand just to remind us all about what we talked about, in that when we saw the market study, we recognized that there was a significant amount of outmigration. People who live here in the Valley who seek services that we provide, and they're going outside of the Valley for that. And we believed that it was important for us to seek affiliation with an organization that would bring brand recognition and help with the redirection of some of that outmigration. That really is one of the foundational concepts about affiliation for us, because it not only allows for long-term viability for us, but also helps a deal to look advantageous from the perspective of a potential affiliate partner. If they can bring more business to an organization that they're operating, it makes it viable in the near term as well. We wanted a geography to work. We wanted to continue we wanted to have an organization that had both strength and a willingness to make commitments to the hospital. We wanted to have a commitment to our scope of services, as well as a commitment to a continuing role for the board and for the district in community wellness and population health. And then we wanted there to be an alignment around our mission and our values, and of course on strategies as well, and those 4 pathways that we've identified are viability, quality relationships, and growth. These were the criteria that we were looking at to make sure that we were aligned, and then I threw in the other considerations because there's always something else that you didn't think about, but really that's the criteria. We looked at 5 organizations originally. Where I'm in discussions and have had good conversations now with 3 organizations who align very strong around those criteria that we all established. Overlake, UW Medicine, and Valley Medical Center all have really strong brands. All of them have fairly good financial health. Geographically, they're aligned. One of the things that I heard from Evergreen was, despite the fact that we share borders, the patient flow doesn't go. The patient flow would actually go past 2 other existing hospitals for referrals to go back and forth between our 2 facilities. I heard also a similar message from Multicare that they are, of course, looking to expand their network, but we're just a little bit outside right now of their strategic plan for expanding their geographic scope. And those were some of the other criteria. We went through this last time. So let's talk about where we're at right now. We're in this box right here, developing the scope of the affiliation. What would this affiliation look like? And that's what I want to talk about tonight. So I'm going to drill down on this step here with us this evening. And again, this is just bringing over this step, development of our scope. What are the high-level deal points that we want to express to a affiliate partner, potential affiliate partner, and then get us working toward having an organization that we would recommend for a letter of intent. So what are some of the initial steps? In each one of the discussions that I've had, with the three potential parties. They have all expressed interest in taking a look at our 2017 audited financials. So the 2017 audited financials also require, in order for that to be done, we need to have our cost report. So I've let them know that that was a step in the process. We need to then, of course, complete those financials and present them to the Finance Committee and the board. So the auditors will be at the Finance Committee. Is that on the 30th? 31st, excuse me. That's on the 31st. So the Finance Committee on the 31st. The auditors will be reporting on the audited 2017 financials. And then the auditors will also be to the board meeting in June to give the full report on 2017. The organizations want to see that. And then Steve and I are also working on a package of material for them. We're assembling all of this information into a Dropbox so that they can see that right away as soon as the audited financials are presented to the board. So they're the financials plus the 2018 year-to-date. How are we doing this year? The projection that I Bailey did when we sold the bonds, our debt schedule and the covenants, how are we doing on that? And then also the market study, which we all saw, which shows the potential for redirection of the out-migrating care, migrating out of the valley. Yes?
Excuse me, what's the bottom line with 2017?
I don't want to preclude, but since you asked, it's going to be about a loss of about 275.
275,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're which is less than 1% margin, and so we're feeling really good about the 2017 results because that was a change from a loss of what was 2.6 million in the year prior.
To what do you just attribute the loss?
I'd rather answer a different question. That is, what would you attribute the difference between 2016 and 17? And that was cost reduction.
Right.
Yeah, cost reduction. And now, as we go into 2018, as you know, when we reduce, and Commissioner Speikers has talked about this in his reports, when we reduce our costs, some of that we end up having to pay back to Medicare. So we had a sizable payback to Medicare because of the cost reductions. As we go into 2018, though, we continue with that lower cost profile, and what we've done in this year is we've put in programs that add revenue that don't require us to pay anything back to Medicare. And that's why we have a positive budget for net income for 2018, because we can maintain that cost profile. We actually got in the cost report a Medicare daily rate that's their proposed daily rate is more than what we're actually booking right now. So that's good news. It means that we don't have to restate any of our first 4 months of financials. So those that net income that we've logged so far this year, that's solid. And so that's part of the information that we're providing to the affiliate partners is a very strong financial position. And going into 2018, the changes that we're making don't require any Medicare payback. That's all revenue that we get to keep.
We'll hear about those changes.
I'll just mention them right now. They're the 340B program and the rural health clinic status for our 2 clinics.
Is this a one-way initial steps, or is it too early for us to do the same request for the future financial affiliated partner?
Emma, would you say that one more time for me?
This is the high-level deal points.
Yes.
The potential, the 3 level, the 3
right.
member.
The 3 potential organizations. Right. Yes.
Is requesting from us.
No. This is what out of the work that we have done.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. That is on the next slide. What this is this is what they have expressed to us as what they would like to see from us. These are not deal points. These are not the deal points.
Oh, okay.
This is just a step that we're at right now, and that is providing them with a picture of the organization based on the financials, based on the market study, that will help them to understand us better and will inform them about what deal points they'll feel comfortable with.
So it's one way initial step.
This is an initial step. This is all information that we're going to provide to the three, and then later on, next slide actually, we'll talk about some of the deal points that came out of our strategy work that we did together. David, you had a question.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and we missed, I know our budget was for about 230,000.
Yeah.
We were supposed to, and we missed it by basically $500,000.
Right.
And to me, that's quite a difference for it. That's basically what, $500,000 out of 35 million, whatever that percentage is.
Not much.
$500,000 out of our
Well,
revenues
gross revenue is about
is
30.
40.
About 38, it's about 38 million.
So
38, okay.
I'd say 38 million.
it's not 1%. It's a little more than that.
If you look at the variance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the variance, what we were supposed to have is 250,000 or 230,000, 223.
Yeah.
And we ended up with 275, so it's about $500,000 difference. How much is it per patient day? Are we off? Did we not project on that?
Well, like I said, the per patient day that we're booking now is less than what we're going to actually be receiving. So if you look at
About $3,000, right?
No, it's got to be about $2,750 or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't see how we could.
Huh? What?
no,
Well,
so
we were at 29,
right.
Right.
maybe 28.
So
We were at 2850,
Yeah,
and we
so-
had the cost report done, and the new calculated Medicare daily rate is 2,905.
Why is it 2,905 when we're getting more? We became 30 to 35% more efficient since we opened. That's how much less we're getting per patient
We're actually getting,
day.
they're saying we should be getting more than we were getting last year. We're booking 2,850. Got that one? Medicare says we should be getting 2,905, so about $50 more a day.
Well, how does
And-
that happen when we have to pay them back? I don't understand. Weren't we? I thought we were
no,
paying back.
Yeah,
we knew that we were getting paid too much, so we reserved in our contractual allowance enough to cover almost all of the payback. So, in fact, all of the payback, except for about $500,000 of it. So we missed it by a little bit. And you asked me the 500,000 versus 38 million is about 1.3%. So, we did.
Now it's suspect about how much our projected budget is.
Not really, David, because
it's actually very confirming
it's actually
for us.
very confirming.
Yeah.
Because what it says is that we based our budget on accruing $2,850 per Medicare day. Medicare now has, the cost report says, and Medicare will confirm that we should be getting 2,900. We should actually be getting more than we are putting on our financial
But that's for
statements. And we're not getting
2018.
Yeah.
2017, what did we budget our? 2,000.
2,000 about, we budgeted about 2,800, and
How did
we were
it-
getting paid way more, and we knew that. We were getting paid
We-
over
yeah.
$3,000 a day, and Medicare had not done a test on it. So,
But if we had budgeted 2,800 and we actually, our cost is actually 2,900.
Yeah. So
Didn't we set aside all that money?
we did set aside
we set aside a little bit less than we should have.
Yeah.
And and the only way you could, we adjusted as much as we could. The only way you could get a final number, and you don't have to believe me on this, but was to do the final
You've got to do the final cost report.
which we did.
The-
I understand that, I don't understand how we ended up,
And
if we budgeted for 223, with withholding at 2,800, well, a net 223,000.
right.
And withholding 2,850.
I think what wasn't.
So how did we end up on the wrong end of this?
Because
You see what I'm saying?
a couple of things happened. Okay, we grew our Medicare patient days
Thank you.
substantially. And that
That's the
means-
other variable.
That's the other
cost.
variable.
Yeah.
And that says you're getting overpaid. And we said we know we're getting overpaid, we don't know exactly how much. We had a test done, we adjusted our booking, but we were getting even more overpaid because we continued to grow
Medicare
our
volume,
Medicare patient days
inpatient volume.
throughout the year.
No, I totally understand
Okay.
that, but if we withheld and we budgeted at 2850, and we actually should be getting 2900,
But
it doesn't make sense to me that we ended up in a negative column on this.
Well, we had a test done, and we said, okay, we think.
that was the mid-year, right?
That was mid-year, we had a
Right.
test done. And that actually came out a little higher than 2,900. We booked that. And then our Medicare days continued to grow, and we said, okay, we don't know what it's going to be. And we adjusted it down for this year. We booked about 3,000 a day last year. We said we want to be conservative when we're doing 2018, so we're going to take it down to 2,850. And we don't have to restate this
For
year, 2018.
Okay, but
2019,
2017,
we were
at
booking
3,000.
3,000, and so we were booking a little more than we should have. But we didn't know that till we had the cost report.
Yeah.
We had an estimate that said, yeah, you're booking, you're getting overpaid. So we
put
in
it in the contractuals
We
to
didn't
allow
put
for
quite
it.
enough in.
Not enough.
Yeah.
So it is the 2,900 there that you are referring to
It's per patient day.
per patient.
And
instead of the
if you-
2,800.
If you look at our bottom line in comparison to a couple of things, David, are you listening?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Eide Bailey, when they did our projections in 2015, said that in 2017 we would lose 382,000. We lost 277. We beat those projections. We hired Eide Bailey at the end of 2016 because we missed our bond covenants.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at what their projections were with the changes we made, those came out to actually a loss of $1,028,000. We substantially improved over that because we just continued to do benchmarking. We continued to manage the revenue side in a number of ways. One was the inpatient mix. The other was the how we handle and where we treat Medicaid patients. The other was we put in financial or insurance verification software. All those decreased our contractual allowance for the commercial side. So we beat both Eide Bailey projections. Now, did I want a positive bottom line? Yeah. We did a reserve analysis, intellectual honesty. Said, okay, what should they be? We came out with a number, and we had the CPAs reviewed that closely. Said, yeah, you're right. This is your AR, your contractual allowance. They agreed with it, but we wanted to be accurate on it, beyond anything else.
We did it payer by payer.
Payer by payer, financial
So
class by the financial
It's
class.
actually
we didn't want to kid ourselves.
Yeah.
probably the closest we've come to being what we projected, but still off.
Still
in
off.
reality about our budget by half.
But if you look at 16, we lost 2.6 million. We improved that result by 2.4 million.
That's,
You don't see that type of turnaround many
oh,
times.
I know.
And it wasn't easy. It
was
wasn't
because
one
of
thing.
the initial costs, startup of the hospital.
No,
and carrying
it wasn't. It wasn't. 2016, we'd gone through all those initial costs. We were operating as a critical access hospital, and we had booked all the initial costs in 2015 when we moved in. So the other thing we did, and just bear with me, here I go. This is finance committee.
I think I brought this up because I thought it's quite important, and I'm sorry if I kind of interrupted things.
It's all right. It's all right.
I think because The rest of the board is not always at the finance committee to hear the questions I have.
But I was waiting to see what our cost report, how was it? Yeah, that's what I was.
Can I say one more thing?
Whether
One more thing that we should factor in is in 2015, we decided, okay, how are we going to depreciate the new hospital? And you can do a straight line, which is, just 1/30th of it. We said, no, we're going to, in essence, accelerate the depreciation because of cost-based reimbursement, get a little bit more money in the door quicker. And in 2017, we booked $753,000 more in depreciation than on a straight line basis in expense.
Yep.
So that makes up for
We didn't have to accelerate that depreciation.
We could have straight lined it, and
if we had straight lined it, we would have shown a bottom line for 2017. But because we accelerated that depreciation, that brings more cash into the organization, of course, because it has a favorable effect on the Medicare rate.
And accelerated depreciation is a financial tool that even the for-profits use, because what it does for them is it decreases their tax liability. For us, it decreased our reimbursement from Medicare.
Or increased.
Increased, I'm sorry.
Yeah, increased our Medicare.
Increased. It's all legal. It's all upfront. It's all viable financial management, a viable financial management tool. So.
I guess the bottom line here, which all of this relates to, is how do we look to an affiliation partner? And I'm kind of concerned because I really thought that we would end up in a black situation for this year.
We kept telling you we didn't know.
It's a great point, and that's why the first 4 months of the year, and I'm getting a little ahead now, also for the Finance Committee, will show that our variance to budget is significantly favorable. So in the month of April, we again beat projections, which means that year to date through April, our bottom line is over $500,000 better than budget. And the really good message is that the Medicare rate that we're using for this year is actually less than what Medicare will allow. And so that is the message that we're going to be giving to the affiliate partners is between 2016 and 17, we reduced our net loss by $2.4 million and got nearly to break even. Going into 2018, we've continued those cost reductions. We've held on those. We've had a good revenue in the first 4 months. And we now have other revenue generating programs such as the 340B program, putting more revenue into the organization to keep that bottom line going forward through 2018. That's the message for the affiliate partners.
It's a good message, no doubt.
Yep.
I like it. It just that I've seen where we looked really good for a few months, and then all of a sudden, we got $1 million hit, or we lost 500,000.
Yeah. Well, it's a great
David.
It's a great point. It's a great point, and it's a great segue to what my message will be in the Finance Committee, and that is, for the first 4 months, we've looked great. May not look that great, and so it's really good to have that positive variance from the first 4 months, because you're right, month to month things do go up and down.
Getting back to initial steps, would it be to our advantage to not include the 2015 ID Bailey projection? You mentioned the 2016 ID Bailey projection that I think was worse. But what if we get a new projection, whether it's with ID Bailey or someone else, rather than present them with the 2015 projection?
I think it's actually, we're doing better than the projection.
We are doing better than the projection.
Yeah,
okay.
we're beating projection, and I think that's a good thing.
What this shows, Gene, is that we are back on track.
Well, but if we're doing better than the projection, let's get a new projection that shows that. And that may even give us a future projection even brighter. I don't see why we have to go back and quote the 2015 projection.
No, for one thing, take a couple months to get it. You know, that's a good point.
Well,
I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, there's cost and time. There's cost and time.
I'm presenting another approach, and that is, don't give them something out of 2015. These are sharp people. They want to know what's it like now. And what are your projections for the future? We don't want to hear about 2015.
Oh, I'm sure that
I
we
think
will
they
have
can
projections
figure, I think
done.
they will have their own projections.
They'll have their own.
They're actually going
They
to take all the
probably
financial
hire.
information and
Yeah.
they're going to run it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, sure they will, but
Yeah.
we just want to make sure we give them the best information we can.
Well, I also don't really want some other can open that I don't want to open. So at this point, let's just stick with, we're doing better than projected.
So
yeah,
Yeah.
we are doing better than projected, and that includes this year.
So are you suggesting to remove 2015?
No, it's,
No.
no, we can't hide anything from
I
them.
know,
No.
we
Yeah,
have to be
that's
transparent.
That's actually a very public
Yeah.
document because
Yeah.
that was used for the issuing of the bonds. So
I
it's
just don't like asking questions that I don't know the answers to.
Yeah.
So this again, back onto what we are doing on this step. This is the information that we're going to be providing to the potential affiliate partners, and then Steve and I will meet with them and their CFO, because for example, in my discussion with one of the affiliate partners, I don't want to mention anybody specifically, but the comment was, we're not cost-based reimbursed here. You really understand the cost-based reimbursement better than we do. So when we go through financials, could you help us to understand what this all means? So Steve and I will sit down with their leadership, including their CFO, to go through the financials, both the 17 and the year to date.
When they're looking at potentially moving part of their administration costs, which could be huge.
It could be a real benefit.
It could be,
Yes.
yeah, they could end up with a great win-win.
So there's upside from that standpoint, and of course from being able to grow volume. So these are steps that need to be taken right now. I wanted you to understand where we are on the timeline, why we haven't provided this information yet, because we really wanted to have you have the report from the auditors before we provide that information to a third party. And then we'll get to here, and that is proposing to them high-level deal points. So let's talk about those. So in this slide, what I have done is I've taken from the work that we've done, and I've listed out some of the really important points of affiliation that we would express to a potential affiliate partner. Now what you're seeing here is an iterative process, and what happens is that we'll have this list of deal points, but those deal points will inform underlying budgets. So think of it as a post-transaction world. What does that look like? In a post-transaction world, the district continues to operate and has a budget. The hospital and the clinics operated by a third party, our affiliate partner, if you think of it as a department or a subsidiary of that organization, it has to have its own budget, and both of those budgets need to work in order to accomplish their goals. The deal points are going to inform the budget, but then forming up a draft of the budget may make us realize that we may need to adjust some of the deal points, and so that's why there are those arrows showing it goes around. It may go around a couple times as we try to finalize and make sure that this foundation of budget works for both parties. So here are the high-level deal points. The first one is the rebranding. We believe it's really important for us in order to stop the out-migration, to grab a brand with one of these potential partners. Second part is the lease. It's most likely to be a lease arrangement where the partner is leasing and operating the hospital and the clinics. The real assets, meaning the real estate and the building, those assets remain with the district. They're tied to the revenue bond. The revenue bond is the debt as well as the LTGO bond. So the debt and the assets remain with the district. This is very similar to the model that was used for the Snohomish Hospital, Stevens Hospital, that put the deal together with Swedish. The district now rebranded themselves as Verdant. You've heard that before, but this is very similar to that structure. And I've talked to the executive director of Verdant who said, yes, we're landlords of the hospital. We've gone off and done, and they really have done amazing things in their community around health and wellness. But they have a relationship with Swedish Providence now where Swedish Providence comes to them on a regular basis and provides them with a stewardship report on how they're doing with operating that asset that the district still owns. So the district needs to operate and continue to fulfill its mission, and I just, for our purposes here for you in the back, that's our mission there. Promote and improve the health and well-being of people in our community by providing quality care in a collaborative environment. That's work that will continue to be done by the district, but it needs to have a budget in order to accomplish that. The lease agreement would not just be a lease agreement, but it would include in it performance measures that both parties agree need to be met in order for the relationship to continue. And that is around customer satisfaction, net income for the hospital and clinics, and the district's ability to continue to be compliant with its bond covenants. And finally, the service scope for services provided in the community by the hospital and the clinics need to continue to meet the needs of the community and be consistent with what we find in a community health needs assessment. So these are the high-level deal points that I'm proposing that we put in front of the 3 affiliate partners as we have the discussions with them around how we're doing financially. Would love to hear your thoughts on that.
I think what they're going to ask is, what do you expect from us in terms of financials? Right here, assure stability of any financial commitments, etc. What are you expecting from us?
If you mean if you're affiliate partner?
The affiliate partner.
Yeah.
If you came to me with this, I'd say that's all very nice. But
I want you.
Performance measures, for instance, what happens if customer satisfaction is down? Are you going to break the lease, or what's the deal?
That's where you.
But my more important point was, what do you expect from us in terms of these financials that you're asking?
Yeah, we would expect them to make that lease payment, and to have and to maintain a favorable bond rating in order to show that they are a substantially viable organization.
Well, I think that's a given.
Yes.
But I've heard talk about how we need to add on to the building and have a surgical center, and some of these dreams that I think are totally impractical. But are we still entertaining that sort of thing?
We would that I would not be putting on the table right away, because what we would want is we would want them to see the advantage, not just us drive it through the lease agreement. I can't imagine any one of them not seeing the opportunity. There is, in fact, if you recall me mentioning this, when we were working with Overlake, one of the first questions that they had with us, this was 3 years ago, was, where do we put the operating room? So it is very well understood that in order to stop the out-migration, there's going to be investment in an expanded scope of services.
I'm very skeptical of that. With Swedish being 9 miles or 10 minutes away, I'm very skeptical that people will come here for surgical procedures when they can go to a 175-bed hospital currently certified for 80 beds that do a dozen of those surgeries a day.
Yeah, it depends on what the surgery is, but
how specialized it is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Where do you go for cancer care?
You
don't go down the block.
No,
Yeah.
that's exactly the point. So
And you're suggesting that we would have cancer care.
No,
No,
I'm
no,
just saying
Jim's
the
saying-
specialty, it's gotta
Yeah.
be highly specific that people need, there's not.
Can you be specific?
So-
What kind of surgeries are you talking about that would be unique and specific?
No, that's, I think
That's up to
what,
the organization
Yeah.
to determine.
but I think another good point that's coming from Commissioner Speikers is that highly specialized services bypass Swedish Issaquah. And a lot of highly specialized services even bypass some of the hospitals on the east side. Now, they are developing more programs in order to keep more of those patients on the east side. But what we would benefit from greatly from the outset is some basic surgical capabilities, general surgery, orthopedics, in order to support the work that's done in the emergency department, and really help the community have that sense that if they do have a surgical need after visiting our ER, they could have that locally. That would serve, what we're trying to do here, and we've already done this, is serve the vast majority of the needs of the community. Our clinics are a great example of that. The vast majority of needs of the community is primary care, and we do a great job of that. But as the community grows, so grows the need to respond to some of the more specialized services that they need. And some basic surgery capability would be one of those.
What I'm looking at is they lease for the exact amount that we have on our hospital debt.
Oh,
3.6, whatever.
The bond, actually,
Bond
they have
covenant.
the bondholder
They-
requirements,
they
right.
keep
a little
the-
bit more, yeah.
The remainder of the bonds are paid through our tax.
The
The
LTGO.
LTGO are paid by tax.
That's correct.
And there's a small amount in addition.
It's not that small now.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Let me finish my sentence.
Okay, I'm sorry,
Oh,
David.
sure.
And there is a small amount for our administration to keep the hospital running, which is maybe 50,000 a month, whatever, 40,000 a month.
To keep the district going.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So, maintenance of
Yep.
our East Campus
And
accounting, tax
Correct.
payments,
Yep.
election costs.
Yep.
Yep, there's something.
But is the East Campus included in this lease, or just the hospital itself?
Just the hospital and the
So
clinics.
that's separate,
Correct.
correct, okay, good.
Not on the
So
page.
we could keep our administration there, we could,
Or build,
there's a lot of things.
Yes.
lots of things, yeah. So
Are
that would
these-
be the levy. Sorry.
Are these, organizations understanding this?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
we've talked, each one of them, I've let them know that there is a continuation of the district, and the agreement that we would end up with eventually would need to support the district's continued operations.
Because I would love to have as part of our administration, someone that could write grants
Right.
for our local health care.
And I think, I totally agree, and this is where
We've been neglecting
Yeah.
quite a bit of our district
Yeah.
for financial reasons. We cannot help people the way we want.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that is on the table.
It is, and it's there. District operates to fulfill its mission.
Yeah.
It's right on there.
And at the end, we're looking at a 10-year lease to start out with,
Yeah,
or 5 or whatever it is,
Yeah.
but they can't own it unless they pay out for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so thank you for that point. There would be probably an initial term that would be 7 years, because that would coincide with when the revenue bonds are callable, and that would give the affiliate partner the opportunity at that point to say, well, things are going great. We have an opportunity to refinance the bonds and purchase the hospital, or we want to continue the lease. So that would be a good point in time for us to say, okay, how's that going, and do we want to restructure?
So at that time, I would think that would be termed in terms of an option
Correct.
purchase.
Correct, David.
So normally
Something like
people
that,
pay
yeah.
for that option. And so maybe the East Campus, the value of that, whatever that is in 7 years, could be split if they exercise.
Well,
or something like
you
that.
may notice I'm not putting East Campus on the table here. And the reason to not put East Campus is because, as you mentioned, the lease payment would be very closely tied to the financing and the servicing of the not the financing, but the servicing of the revenue bond. If you think about what the revenue bond did, the revenue bond paid for this hospital. And so having a lease payment very closely tied to that revenue bond debt service matches up the purposes of those funds. The East Campus had nothing to do with the revenue bond. And so the district continuing to own the East Campus keeps the district having a very valuable asset that may be much more valuable into the future.
That would be ideal.
Yep.
But I just remember the last offer we got.
Yeah, well, that one is
And I
It's
remember
history.
that one is now
how
in our
that went.
that is now in our history.
That's history.
So,
Yes.
Yes.
And
oh no, the first thing they wanted was the East Campus.
No, I know, that's.
Where they needed assets.
No, they,
so that's not what I'm proposing that we start out with.
The question I have is, this is maybe how we'd like to see it, but what if an affiliate potential says, okay, we want to lease it and we want to run it?
Well, they would run it.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
will be.
Okay,
They
now
will run
what
it.
does that mean for your current staff, for example?
Okay, and we're all done.
well, there goes that one.
Yeah. That's
He's actually the MC.
it's okay because that was my last slide. But
Here, we got another presentation.
Well,
here comes the screen.
down.
The screen's coming.
well, it all
So
looks
so
we'll see.
All right, I asked a question.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Tom, we
So
start.
Commissioner Pollard has the question of the operating the hospital. What implications are there for the current staff? And this is a great question because it's really the question that has been asked consistently by our staff who know that we're pursuing affiliation. The question is, what does that mean to me? So if you're one of our employees here, you may have felt some concern, and there has been some concern. And the message that we consistently provide for them is that there is no affiliate partner that we're talking to that has a pool of people waiting in the wings to come in and take your jobs. The affiliate partner wants the staff here to continue to do the work that they're doing. And so it doesn't make any sense for somebody to say, okay, we're gonna hire in and replace, because the people who are running the hospital today are the ones who know how to run the
I
hospital.
agree. What happens to our executive team?
I don't know.
But it is possible that they could come in and say, we'd like to have our own executive team since we're leasing the hospital.
That is correct.
That's pretty standard.
That's correct.
That's pretty standard. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is a possibility. And let me just, I'm going to give you my sense of it. And that is, and you know this about my background. I worked for years in multi-hospital systems. I am a believer in multi-hospital systems. I believe that we are today, notwithstanding what we get with the collaborative. The collaborative is fabulous, and we've been able to get a lot of benefit out of that. I believe there's even more benefit by being part of a network of hospitals or being in a multi-hospital system. And because I believe in that strongly, I can't worry about whether or not there's a job for Tom Parker after the affiliation is done, because I think you pay me to make decisions that are in the best interest of the hospital and the district, and so
the people
and the people of the community. So pursuing affiliation, I believe, meets that requirement that you have of me.
I appreciate that motive.
Yeah, I mean, that's what.
So again, that's my perspective on multi-hospital system. I'm a believer.
Here's the other end of it. When someone does a great job, he or she becomes marketable and for future work.
And also
And that's
within
how-
that system.
And that's how things go in real life.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's true.
so, And that's how it goes.
Agreed.
Are there any more?
So this is what I will be putting on the table with our potential affiliate partners when Steve and I meet to go over with them how we're doing, how we did in 17, how we're doing in 18, and here's how we would like to structure our relationship.
Yeah, just one more question.
Yeah.
You mentioned about tertiary. Is there going to be another, I think in the past when we talked about this, there was going to be another nonprofit organization that will be formed?
It may not be necessary. That would be part of the deal structure. So we may or may not have to have a separate 501c3 established. It could be just that one of the affiliate partner, that the affiliate partner is just leasing it and running it as part of their organization. So that's some work that we'll be doing with our council and their council to make sure that the structure fits the needs.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Oh,
There's another dimension, and that is, it sounds like what you're working with now is with the CFOs and the finance people of these institutions.
Actually, not yet. I've been working with the CEOs and the vice presidents for business development and strategy.
Well, I knew that was your initial contact, but what you described here.
We'll be bringing the CFOs in. And the next step is to bring in the CFOs.
In those initial contacts and whether those are continuing to develop.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
And if you could say anything about any of those meetings or any projections of meeting with those folks.
So I've had 2 meetings, each with the leaders, that level of leadership, either the VP of business development strategy or the CEO in those 3 organizations. And the next step, and we've established this clearly, was the provision to them of those documents that I had mentioned, and then a next meeting. So we have next meetings scheduled already with those people and their CFO. We won't, Steve and I
So
won't.
after the CFO discussions and so forth, you go back to the CEO?
No, the next, I'm sorry, but the next round of discussion is with the leader and their CFO, Steve and myself.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good. Do you have any time frame?
In June is when those meetings will be occurring, because we wanted to make sure you got to have the audit report before we give to them, and that's for our June board meeting. And we already have the meetings to follow with the organizations for Steve and I to go visit with them.
That's excellent. I think time is of the essence. If this drags out, they're tired of hearing it.
That's why, and they understand, by the way, they understand the timeline and that we wanted our board to have the audit report before they got those reports.
okay, we have
Strike while the
2
iron is
minutes.
hot.
7:30 is our,
Okay.
All right.
okay, any other, we're under other, do we have other topics to discuss? If not, we move to the next public comment, please.
Thank you. I just have a real quick question. Maybe I missed it. Is throughout this, is it just an assumption that the hospital will remain a critical access hospital? Is that up for negotiations? It will be?
That is not a negotiable.
Okay.
Not,
Both parties will want that.
yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking so, but didn't know that for sure. Thank you.
Okay.
It's in now.
Are there any other comments? Hearing none. Okay, upcoming board meetings. Our next regular business meeting is Thursday, June 14, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. Snoqualmie Valley Hospital. Our work study will be Wednesday, July 25th. We will not have a work study in June.
I'm sorry.
But we will
I'm
have,
sorry.
this is July.
I'm so
not-
sorry.
My apologies. Wednesday, we will not have a work study in June, but we will have our regular business meeting. So work study will be, the next one will be Wednesday, July 25th, 2018, Snoqualmie Valley Hospital. No meeting in June?
No work study.
No work study in June.
Okay.
Yes, that's in the.
I'll be in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Okay. I do.